You're listening to Shamelessly Shontay. I'm here with the co-host Kimberly and Francis, and it's been a really interesting week. Um, we just had the election, and we have thoughts about the election. My first question to us all is, how are you ladies feeling? Very open ended.
Yeah, I think initially I was, well, very anxious going into it,
Hmm.
Um, and, that night couldn't really sleep, tossing and turning. And so the morning of, I was sad, I was disappointed, and I was angry. So I just had like a roller coaster of different emotions. None being happy or excited though.
Yeah, same. I feel like I'm still just numb. Like I'm just here right now because I feel like the range of emotions, I'm just kind of all over the place. Confusion, disappointment, sadness, just a little bit of everything.
Um, when Kamala accepted the nomination, I then became vested.
Hmm.
Before then, I wasn't vested, and what that looked like for me was, participating in large Zoom calls, donating to the campaign, um, really starting to understand policies and how they affect humans, all humans. I flew down to the state that I reside in and stood in line for 3 hours to vote. And at the polls, they were trying to do everything against their power to not get me to vote, whether it was you're not registered or you must go to this precinct because you live in this county per your license, or you can only get a presidential ballot, or matter of fact, here's a provisional. And I took the provisional because that's still a ballot, but I do feel like it became more of just a regular ballot as opposed to a provisional because they got it worked out. But if I was the person that didn't push and took no at the first no, then I would have been turned around from the precinct and wouldn't be able to cast my vote. So from those moments, it was now about, oh my goodness, how will I accept the defeat if there is a defeat? Because we have to be realistic, right? And there was so much rhetoric about, well, if the numbers come in very quickly, then it's going to be a landslide, and then we already know, and blah 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 blah, which actually kind of happened, right? By like 9 o'clock, it was just okay. People were trying to figure out the path to a victory, and slowly it started to dwindle away. And I turned off the TV and I went to bed. Out loud, I said, "This is giving me anxiety." Subconsciously, it was, "I'm not going to watch the fall of a black woman."
Yeah.
That, that, and that's why I went to bed. And I woke up. Maybe the results are different, but when I didn't have many texts, many forms of communication, and it just felt very quiet, I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I opened my social media for a second, but actually didn't have anything too crazy on it, but more of rest, find peace.
Hmm.
Eh, On the opposite end, black women, we're carrying so much. So some people are saying like rest, have peace, but then others are just like, we're tired, we're exhausted.
I've seen those comments. Hmm.
Yep, I saw him too. I mean, every election, Black women show up to vote more than any other race. Um, Over 90% of Black women voted for Kamala.
Hmm.
That's huge. And second only to that is Jewish women, 88%. So I think, yes, Black women, it can be exhausting because we feel like we have to show up, we have to support. And then when things don't go the way we hope they will, it is exhausting. It's like, okay, but we got to keep fighting. We got to keep fighting. And that's how I feel today. It's like, yes, I'm still having a lot of those same feelings that I had yesterday. I'm still sad. I'm still disappointed. I still have times where I am very angry, sad, all of that. But I also recognize I got to keep going. I can't just stop. I mean, that's who we are.
Numerically, Black women couldn't have done it by themselves. This was supposed to
No,
be a group project,
that's
and
right.
people just got an F.
People failed.
People failed, and it's just hard to feel like you have to push something forward, but everyone's not in it together. We can't do it alone. We're only 7% of the population, right? And no, we are only
Yeah.
7% of the population.
Mhm.
Not every Black woman voted that way. Some women are religious, so you count them out. There are many different reasons of why one group cannot just
Carried.
and not even one group, a group that's not a majority cannot carry,
Mhm.
an election. So, just kind of going back to what Kimberly said, how are we moving forward?
Well, it's interesting. I think for me, I know I'm going to be okay no matter what. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to whatever might come as a result of this new administration may have a negative impact on me. I'm not going to lie about that, but I will just keep going. I do have concerns around, the future. Like for my nieces and my goddaughters. I think that my fear, the one fear that I do have is that, you know, if this administration also has the Senate, which we know they do, House of Representatives, which is super close right now, it will give the new president an enormous amount of power, so much more power that he had during his first administration. So there will be the potential, especially now that we know how the Supreme Court is, it's 6-3, leaning way conservative, that they will be able to put laws and policies in place that will last for decades, potentially generations. And so I fear, I have worries for, like I said, my nieces and my goddaughters, and even my nephews as well. But especially when it comes to things like reproductive rights, and then of course climate change and all of those things. So I have concerns about that, but I think it's important to keep fighting, keep pushing, keep voting, because the president is who the president is, but we can still have some control at the local level, the state level. And so we have to stay informed. We have to continue to work together and fight. And, yes, we've got 4 more years, but there's still a lot that we need to do today through the next 4 years. So that's how I'm looking at it.
As Black women, we have this innate power to forge ahead. And much of what Kimberly said, we just have to pivot and figure out a way to not make it work, but just a way to survive the next 4 years. And I feel that pivot is a great word for it, because had Kamala won, there was more hope for us. And I don't think that the hope is entirely gone. It's just going to be a harder fight from us, particularly with our reproductive rights and our voting rights, because we know that's going to be at risk. So much that we kind of take for granted right now, because so many people didn't vote. They're going to see what not voting truly has done and will do.
Facts.
How do I move forward? As a business owner, I do need to get back in the game and on my game and stay focused. So like that's one side of it where I still have to take my meetings, my calls, be present, show up for my team and for myself. Personally, I can't say that I'm angry, but I'm freaking over it. I'm freaking over being in a group that is that continues to exhibit strength, but not be trusted and be overlooked, regardless of our qualifications and how we consistently show up. I am over it. So I can't get past it. I cannot, because this is something that I've been battling my entire career in life, and it's tiring. So, so
Yeah.
I will talk about that, not at every chance, but I see it show up in so many different ways, not just an election, but in business. I mean, there's so many examples that I can name, and I choose not to, but that piece of it doesn't go away for at least me. I'm only going to speak for myself. So I'm constantly in this world where I'm trying to be the best version of myself. I'm trying to be as professional as I can be. I'm trying not to make wrong decisions. I'm trying to be that stand up model citizen, whereas other people do not have to do that. Okay. Now we go to the business. It's okay. Be laser focused, Shontay. And unfortunately, after every election, this is how the week feels. This is how it feels. And now it's about all of us bouncing back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do you all have any closing thoughts?
I think it's just, I'll speak as a Black woman. It's just what we do.
Mhm.
It's ingrained in us. It's something that we've always had to do. So that doesn't change for me. But yes, it does sadden me that it's like, okay, we just, same thing over and over again. You have to bounce back. You have to keep going. It is exhausting, like you mentioned. But I think Kamala ran a hell of an election. I think that, or campaign, I think she had, 107 days from the moment that, Biden stepped down and asked her to take the lead to election day. I can't imagine that she couldn't have done anything more than what she did. And I'm incredibly proud of that. So I don't know what the future holds for her, but I'm sure it's amazing. She's an amazingly smart, talented, strong woman. And so, yes, I would have loved to have called her the next president of the United States, but she is still going down in history for what she did.
Yeah.
You have any closing thoughts?
Not really. I think for the most part, I think I just still need to just kind of mellow out because I'm tired.
Okay.
I'm just tired.
Here's my closing thought. Joe Biden, step down and let Kamala serve out the rest of your term. And now we will have Madam President Kamala Harris for the next month and a half. And you're listening to Shamelessly Shontay.
Make sure you use some black girl sunscreen. You don't gotta dodge them sunbeams. Just put on your black girl sunscreen. Ay, black don't crack a dozen. Black people get sunburned too.